Talk for a couple minutes
Yes.
about the mullet.
Yes, it is.
I apologize, Hannah, for my stereotyping. It doesn't have to do with Oregon. So, I have a big problem with the mullet. In case anyone's not familiar with the mullet, it's a hairstyle characterized by short hair on the front, long flowing hair in the back, often called the 1090, based on the percentage of hair in the front versus back of the head. Also known as business in the front, party in the back. And this really just showcases the wordplay attitude of people that wear mullets. The problem that I have with mullets are that mullet wearers look like fools. A recent survey shows that 80% of the worldwide population actually agrees with me and views mullets as idiotic. We're not sure why people choose to wear mullets, but there are characteristics of mullet wearers that are pretty consistent. First is that they tend to be aggressive, highly opinionated. They dislike people with regular haircuts. They tend to just hang around one another with mullets. You'll often see them driving Camaros. And they enjoy fighting, both the act and watching it. Now, this is modern mullet, so we have to take a step back in history and note where mullets came from. The earliest evidence of a mullet dates back to 2500 BC, as you can see in the Sphinx in Egypt. Note the complete lack of sideburns and the long flowing mane. This also is actually the largest mullet in the world as well, until recently when a replica was put in Vegas. It's actually slightly larger. During the late 18th and early 19th centuries, a mullet trend came about in England, which was pretty frequent between artists, writers, public figures, and it's actually thought to be brought on by the frequent opium use of the time. Since that time, the mullet kind of came into the U.S. between the 60s and 70s. Tom Jones helped us out. He influenced us a lot. And then in the 1980s, the mullet explosion came out of the southern U.S. and spread across the country. During this time, actually, it was a respected hairstyle. And so people were actually successful in spite of their decision to cultivate a mullet. We've got Chuck Norris and MacGyver, both action figures that did quite well in their day. And then we've also got the heartthrob A.C. Slater, as well as Billy Ray Cyrus, who had a big part in the 90s for us. Towards the end of the 80s, mullets kind of became unfashionable again, with the exception of in the southern U.S. and in the U.K. In the South, we're not sure why it's hung on. We think it may be the low maintenance cost of the mullet. Also, the neck insulating qualities of a well-groomed mullet can actually protect you from the wind. In the United Kingdom, they've actually kind of taken a turn, and it's a fashion mullet now. It's a shorter, low-key mullet that it's actually called a coward's mullet. People that want a mullet they realize the ridiculousness of it, and they're afraid to grow the full-on mullet. So based on this history, I've determined that I don't think the mullet is going anywhere. I think the best that we can do is just try to keep suppressing it. So some interesting facts that I found are that the anti-mullet sentiments have actually risen 327% during the last decade. This number is continuing to rise, so there's a chance that we could keep pushing this down and try to avoid a comeback. In the meantime, what I suggest is that we point, laugh, and whisper, just at the mullet, so people know what they're doing to us, and kind of try to keep it down. So. Questions?
Would you argue that the properties of a mullet prevent